Rain fell like needles through the dark forest. The night was cold, and the wind howled across the lonely mountains. Ethan stood near the mouth of the cave, his flashlight trembling in his hand. He had hiked for hours through the storm, following an old map that looked more like a rumor than a truth. He had always been drawn to strange places. Exploration was in his blood, or maybe it was the only way he knew to feel alive. Tonight something had pulled him here, a story he had heard from a miner years ago. A hidden cave, a pool that glowed, a place where people went in and never came out the same. Ethan didn't believe in legends, but he believed in discovery. He stepped into the cave. The sound of the rain faded behind him, replaced by slow drips echoing through the dark. The beam of his flashlight touched the walls, rough stone, wet and glittering. Strange symbols were carved into the rock, spiraling like vines. He brushed the dust away and frowned. They weren't words. They were patterns. Lines connected to circles like constellations. He took a picture with his phone, but the camera refused to focus. The screen blurred, then went black. Ethan sighed. Great, just great. Still, something about the place pulled him deeper. The cave twisted like a maze. Sometimes he thought he heard whispers carried by the wind, but every time he stopped there was only silence, and the faint rhythmic beat of water somewhere ahead. The air grew warm. The smell changed, metallic like rain on stone. He turned one last corner and froze. Before him was a vast chamber lit by a soft blue glow. The walls shimmered like crystal. In the center, a pool of water lay perfectly still, shining as if the stars themselves were trapped inside it. Ethan stared in disbelief. It was beautiful, unreal. He stepped closer. The pool reflected him clearly. His tired face, his unshaved beard, the lines of exhaustion. But as he leaned closer, the reflection moved. For a moment, his reflection smiled before he did. Ethan blinked and rubbed his eyes. Just the light, he muttered. He knelt by the edge and touched the surface. The water was warm, almost alive. A sudden thirst filled him, not from his body, but something deeper. It felt like the pool was calling to him. His heart pounded. He hesitated only for a second, then cupped his hands and drank. The water tasted like nothing he'd ever known, sweet, heavy, and cold at the same time. It burned down his throat, then filled him with warmth that spread to his chest, his arms, his fingers. He gasped. The cave pulsed with light. The blue glow turned brighter, swirling like a living wave. His flashlight exploded with a pop, and darkness swallowed him, except for the light coming from the pool itself. Symbols on the walls began to move, sliding slowly like snakes of light. The patterns connected, forming shapes and human shapes. Ethan stumbled back, his breath shaking. What is this? The pool bubbled. Then came the voice, soft, whispering, close. You have no idea what you just became. Ethan spun around, shining his backup flashlight into the dark. Who's there? Nothing. Only the sound of dripping water. Come out, he shouted, voice trembling. No answer, and only that whisper again echoing from the walls. No idea what you just became. The air turned heavy. His pulse roared in his ears. He backed away, tripping over a rock. The pool glowed brighter, and when he looked down, his reflection wasn't his anymore. The eyes staring back glowed faintly blue. The veins under his skin shimmered like light through glass. He fell to his knees. What's happening to me? Pain shot through his body, a deep ache like every nerve was waking up for the first time. He gritted his teeth, clutching his chest. His skin felt hot, his heart beat wild. The voice returned, calmer now. Do not fear. The path has begun, he screamed. Who are you? The echo. The word bounced through the cavern, repeating itself until it faded into nothing. Ethan crawled away from the pool. He grabbed his bag and flashlight and ran, stumbling through the twisting tunnels. The cave seemed longer than before him, as if it was stretching, refusing to let him go. His light flickered again. The walls pulsed faintly, breathing. He could hear faint whispers behind him, growing louder with every step. 1,000 voices speaking as one. He burst out of the cave entrance, gasping for air. The storm had ended. The sky was calm now, full of stars. He bent down, hands on his knees, breathing hard. Then he saw his shadow. At first, he didn't notice anything wrong. The moonlight was bright, and his shadow stretched long across the rocks. But when he straightened up, his shadow didn't. It stayed bent. He took a step to the left. The shadow waited a heartbeat before following. He froze. His mouth went dry. He lifted his hand. The shadow lifted too. A chill ran through him. He grabbed his backpack and flashlight and started down the mountain path. The forest felt silent, too silent. No wind, no insects, no sound but his footsteps. Every few steps he looked behind him. Sometimes, he swore he saw the outline of another figure walking just behind him. But when he turned around, there was nothing. He reached his old Jeep at the bottom of the trail and jumped inside, slamming the door shut. He sat for a moment, staring at his hands. The faint blue glow had vanished. Maybe it was his imagination. Maybe he was just tired. He started the engine. Static crackled through the radio, even though it was off. The dashboard lights flickered. The compass needle spun in circles. You drank from the source, the whisper said inside his head. He slammed the radio dial. Get out of my head! You cannot run from what you are. The sound faded, replaced by silence again. He drove down the mountain road, tires sliding on the wet dirt. The headlights caught fog rolling over the trees like smoke. For a moment, he thought he saw shapes moving within it. Tall, thin shadows with glowing eyes. He shook his head, blinking hard. Just fog. Just fog. After an hour of driving, he reached his small cabin by the river. He ran inside, locked the door, and collapsed on the couch. Everything felt unreal. His body was still warm from the water, but he was trembling. He looked at his reflection in the window. His eyes looked normal again. He laughed nervously. I'm losing my mind. But as he turned away, the reflection didn't move. It kept looking at him. And slowly it smiled. Ethan froze. He looked back, but the reflection was already back to normal. His own wide, terrified eyes stared back at him. He sank to the floor. The whisper echoed again. Soft, almost kind this time. Sleep, Ethan. The change will come soon. The room darkened, even though the lights were on. The faint hum of electricity filled the air, like the world itself was breathing with him. Outside, the forest stood silent. Only the river moved, shining faintly under the moonlight. Deep inside the mountain, far away, the cave pool began to glow again, and from its depths something ancient stirred. The sun rose slowly over the forest, painting the wet trees with gold. Ethan sat on the porch of his small cabin, staring at the river. His coffee had gone cold an hour ago. He hadn't slept at all. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing pool and the reflection that smiled back at him. He rubbed his face and tried to think. It's just exhaustion, he whispered to himself. I imagined it. That's all. But deep inside, he knew that wasn't true. His hand still felt strange, heavy but full of energy. The warmth that had spread through his body last night hadn't faded. It hummed quietly inside him like a silent engine waiting to start. A sudden flash of light caught his eye. He looked down at his metal mug. The rim was vibrating on its own. He froze. The mug jumped once, twice, then rolled across the porch and fell with a clang. He stared at it. There was no wind. Nothing had touched it. Okay, he muttered, standing up. That's not normal. He went inside and splashed cold water on his face. The man in the mirror looked back at him, pale, tired, and shaken. But something about his eyes. They weren't quite the same color anymore. Not blue, not gray, somewhere in between. They caught the light in a strange way, like glass. He stepped closer. The air near the mirror shimmered for a second, as if heat were rising off invisible fire. And then, for one terrifying heartbeat, his reflection blinked, even though he hadn't. Ethan stumbled back, knocking over the sink cup. No, 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 no. He ran to the table, grabbed his phone, and opened the camera. But when he pointed it at the mirror, the image on the screen twisted. Lines of static, flashes of strange symbols, like alien letters flickering behind his reflection. The phone buzzed hot in his hand, then died completely. He threw it on the table and backed away. Something was happening to him. He tried to distract himself by fixing the old generator outside. Maybe work would help him calm down, but when he opened the control panel, he felt the same humming inside him grow stronger. The air around the wires vibrated. Sparks danced across the metal, not from the generator, but from him. A bolt of electricity jumped from his fingertip to the machine. The motor roared to life before he even touched the switch. Ethan fell back on the ground, eyes wide. What the hell? He sat there, breathing hard, staring at his hands. They were shaking, but he wasn't cold. He could feel the generator. Not just hear it, but sense it like it was part of him. The way its energy moved, the way the current flowed through the wires. Then in the back of his mind came a faint whisper, the same soft, endless voice from the cave. The awakening begins. He looked around. You again? The whisper grew clearer. You are the bridge. The link between what was and what must be. Ethan clenched his fists. Stop talking in riddles. What do you want from me? Not what I want. What you are. The voice faded, leaving only the sound of the forest and his pounding heart. He walked back to the cabin, trying to calm down. Maybe he was losing his mind. Maybe the water had poisoned him. But then why did everything feel so alive? He could hear the buzz of insects miles away. He could feel vibrations in the ground, footsteps, maybe an animal, maybe something else. Everything around him was louder, sharper, clearer. He sat down and pulled out his old journal, the one he used for exploration notes. He needed to write, to think, to make sense of it. But when his pen touched the paper, his hand moved on its own. Symbols poured out, the same ones from the cave walls. Lines, circles, spirals, written faster than he could follow. He dropped the pen, breathing hard. What's happening to me? The pages glowed faintly, the ink pulsing with blue light before fading back to normal. That night, Ethan dreamed. He was standing in a city of glass and light. Towers reached into the clouds. Strange machines floated through the air, humming softly like music. The sky above was filled with stars, not the night sky of Earth, but another place. He heard voices speaking in the same strange symbols he had written. He couldn't understand the words, but somehow he knew their meaning. A people. A civilization. Ancient, powerful, dying. They had built something vast, something that stretched across galaxies. Then he saw it, the same glowing pool, but much larger, surrounded by tall beings with silver eyes. One of them looked straight at him and said in perfect English, "You carry our memory now." Ethan gasped and woke up. Sweat dripped down his face. The air in his room was flickering like light bending in water. He grabbed his head and tried to breathe. It's just a dream. Just a dream. But when he looked at the desk, his journal was open again, and new symbols had appeared on the page. He hadn't written them. They translated into a message. We waited for you. The next morning, a loud boom echoed outside. Ethan rushed to the window. A flock of birds was scattering from the forest, flying wildly as if something had scared them. He grabbed his binoculars. Far away on a ridge, he saw something impossible. A perfect circle burned into the trees. The soil glowed faintly blue, the same color as the cave pool. His heart raced. It's spreading. Before he could think further, his old radio crackled to life, even though it wasn't plugged in. A distorted voice came through the static. Ethan Cole, we have been tracking an energy anomaly. Stay where you are, he froze. Who is this? Static. Then another voice, colder. Do not attempt to leave. We're coming. The radio went dead. He stood there speechless. Someone knew. Someone was watching him. He looked outside again, and for a moment, he thought he saw a drone hovering between the trees. The feeling of being hunted sank deep into his chest. He packed his bag fast. Flashlight, notebook, map, water, and his camera. He had to go back to the cave. He needed answers. But as he stepped onto the porch, the world around him felt different. The air vibrated again. His skin prickled with electricity. He turned toward the river. The water was glowing. Faintly, softly, the same blue light spread across the surface and flowing downstream, toward the valley. Then he heard the whisper once more, almost like it was standing right behind him. The signal has been sent. Ethan turned sharply, but there was no one there. Only his shadow on the ground, and for the briefest second his shadow smiled again. He took a step back, eyes wide. What do you mean, signal? He shouted into the empty air. But the only answer was silence, and high above, far beyond the clouds, a satellite in orbit blinked awake and turned its lens toward him. High above Earth, a silent satellite drifted through orbit. It had been asleep for almost 50 years, part of an old military network no one remembered. Then, without warning, it woke. Its sensors locked on a single location, a small cabin in the mountains. It sent out a narrow beam pulse. One message, one set of coordinates, glowing on screens deep beneath the Pentagon. The watchers inside a secret base, Rows of analysts stared at the sudden signal. An energy surge this strong shouldn't exist in a rural zone, said Agent Mara Voss, the woman in charge. The radar tech shook his head. It's not nuclear, not electromagnetic, it's different. Mara leaned closer to the monitor. Different how? He swallowed. Like it's alive. A long silence filled the room. Then Mara said the words that would set everything in motion. Send a retrieval team. Bring me whoever's at that location. The echo inside miles away, Ethan sat at his table, staring at the message in his journal. We waited for you. He traced the glowing letters with one finger. They felt warm. He whispered, Who are you? And the voice answered, not from the air this time, but from inside his head. The echo, we are fragments of what was. You are our vessel now. He stood so quickly his chair fell backward. Get out of my mind. You opened the door when you drank the water. You called us. Now we call you. Ethan pressed his hands against his temples. The air trembled. Lights flickered. Every electronic device in the cabin buzzed and died. Then just as suddenly the silence returned. Only the faint hum in his chest remained, unsteady, endless. The voices that night, Ethan heard whispers outside. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped onto the porch. The forest was still, the river calm, but the whispers didn't stop. They were coming from everywhere. When he focused, he realized they weren't whispers at all. They were thoughts, a deer in the trees, he could feel its fear. A bird overhead. Its heartbeat echoed faintly in his skull. And somewhere far away, human minds. People moving toward him, full of alertness and orders. They are coming for you, said the echo. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then I'll leave before they get here. He packed quickly, a map, food, gear. As he threw his bag over his shoulder, the cabin lights flickered again. For a moment he saw shapes of blue light on the walls, like constellations forming around him. Each dot pulsed once and vanished. The team arrives. Hours later, headlights crawled along the dirt road below. Black vehicles. Military markings hidden under mud. Mara Voss stepped out wearing night vision goggles and a pistol on her hip. Target is inside the perimeter, said one of her men. She nodded. Non-lethal force only. We don't know what we're dealing with. The squad moved in silence through the forest, but as they got closer, their equipment began to fail. Radios hissed. Guns jammed. Drones dropped out of the sky. What the? One soldier whispered. Then the forest lit up. A blue pulse rolled through the trees, bending the air itself. Leaves rose from the ground and hung weightless for a few seconds before falling again. Inside the cabin, Ethan felt the pulse pass through him. He didn't create it. It happened because of him. You can stop them, the echo said. He shook his head. No, I don't want to hurt anyone. You are not hurting. You are defending. Contact, the soldiers surrounded the cabin. Step outside with your hands up, Mara shouted. Ethan hesitated, then opened the door slowly. His eyes glowed faintly under the moonlight. Don't shoot, he said. I don't know what's happening. Mara stared at him. What did you do here? What was that pulse? I didn't do anything. It started after I drank from the cave pool. Her expression changed. What cave? Ethan told her everything in short, trembling words. The pool, the voice, the light. When he finished, no one moved. One soldier whispered, He's radioactive, another said. He's not human anymore. Ethan heard every word, not with his ears, but with his mind. Their fear burned like fire inside his head. He closed his eyes and whispered, Please stop. A wave of energy burst out of him, unintentional and wild. Guns melted, metal twisted. The soldiers dropped to the ground, clutching their helmets as their earpieces screamed. Only Mara stood still, staring at him in shock. What are you? Ethan looked at his hands, still glowing faintly blue. I wish I knew. Visions of the past, the world around him blurred. For a heartbeat, the forest turned into metal halls and shining stars. He saw the beings from his dream again, tall, silver-eyed, standing before the same pool of light. We seeded many worlds, the echo said through him. Yours was the last. When our kind died, we left fragments in the deep places of your planet, waiting for one who would awaken us. Ethan fell to his knees. I'm not a savior. I'm just a man. You are more than that now. The vision faded. The forest returned. The soldiers were unconscious, their weapons melted like wax. Mara was on her knees, staring at the floating embers of blue light drifting through the air. She whispered, "You didn't kill them." "No," Ethan said softly. "But I could have." After aftermath, he turned to leave, but Mara called out, "Wait, where will you go?" Ethan stopped. "Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can find answers. You can't hide. They'll come again. More of them." He gave her a tired smile. "Then they'd better be ready." He disappeared into the trees. The blue glow followed him, flickering like ghost fire through the mist. Mara stood alone among her fallen team. She picked up a melted rifle and touched its warped barrel. The metal was warm, not burned, but changed. She looked up at the sky. The stars above seemed brighter now, and for a brief second she saw one of them move. The orbiting eye in orbit, the ancient satellite completed its transmission. Far beyond Earth, beyond Mars, the signal reached a distant point of darkness and something answered. A long-dead receiver blinked alive. A faint voice spoke in the same whisper that had haunted Ethan since the cave. "The air has awakened. Prepare the way." Back on Earth, Ethan stopped walking. He looked up, sensing it. Somewhere in the night sky, something vast had turned its attention toward him. He felt the echo stir again inside his mind. "They know you live." The forest fell silent. Even the wind held its breath. And in that silence, Ethan realized whatever had started in that cave was far bigger than him, far older than the world itself. He whispered, "What have I done?" "You began the return," the echo said. Ethan kept walking until the trees swallowed him whole. Above him, another pulse left the satellite, racing through the void toward the stars. Somewhere out there, something vast and patient woke from its sleep. The forest was still. The stars above looked sharper than ever, as if the sky itself was watching. Ethan walked deeper into the trees, his steps slow, his breath visible in the cool night air. Each step hummed faintly beneath him. The ground pulsed, almost like a heartbeat. "It has started," the echo whispered inside his mind. "The earth remembers." He didn't answer. He couldn't. Every word he heard now carried a vibration that shook through his bones. The more he tried to stay calm, the more that power inside him stirred. A storm waiting to break. He stopped beside an old oak tree, placed his hand on its trunk and felt something impossible. The tree breathed, not in air, but in rhythm, a slow ancient pattern, like the heartbeat of the planet. Ethan pulled his hand back quickly, gasping. What am I turning into?" "Not turning," the echo said. "Becoming." Ripples in the world far away, across cities and seas, strange phenomena began. Phones flickered with static. Power plants failed for seconds at a time. Satellites lost orientation, spinning slowly before correcting themselves. In deep military bunkers, alarms blared. Unknown energy waves rippled from one single point. The same mountain forest where Ethan stood. Mara Voss watched the readings in disbelief. "The pulse is expanding," said one technician. "How far?" she asked. "Every continent, ma'am. It's global now." She gripped the edge of the console. "Get me a satellite view. I want eyes on that man. Right now." The storm within Ethan found a clearing where the moonlight fell like silver rain. The air shimmered faintly around him. He dropped his backpack and fell to his knees. His hands were glowing again, brighter than ever. The veins in his arms pulsed with light. "I can't stop it," he shouted. "It's burning inside me." "You are the vessel of the old light," the echo said. "The energy must find its home." He slammed his fist into the ground, and the earth responded. A thunderous crack tore through the clearing. Stones rolled aside. The soil split open, glowing blue from beneath. Ethan stumbled back, staring. The ground was moving, not like an earthquake, but like something alive was pushing upward. "The ship," whispered the echo. "The last of the skyborn. Buried since the first dawn." Ethan backed away. No, that's not possible." But the earth disagreed. The glow grew blinding. Trees bent, roots ripped from the soil. A low hum filled the air, not sound but vibration, deep and steady. And then the ground rose. A massive structure, black and shining, emerged from the earth. Half stone, half metal, shaped like a sleeping beast. It stretched for hundreds of feet, covered in moss and ancient symbols that glowed the same color as Ethan's veins. "The ship awakens." The noise was deafening now. Lightning arched between the trees, drawn to the ship's hull. Ethan fell to the ground, shielding his face. When he looked up, the ship's surface was shifting, lines of light crawling across it. Like veins returning to life, he whispered, "It's alive. It has waited for you," said the echo. "You are its key." Ethan took a trembling step forward. The ship responded. A door-like panel slid open with a hiss of mist. Inside glowed a soft blue corridor, smooth and seamless, humming with power. He hesitated. "If I go in, can I come back?" "You can never go back. Only forward." He stepped inside. The memory of stars, the corridor was warm like the inside of a living being. Patterns glowed beneath his feet as he walked. The walls shimmered, showing faint images, stars, planets, and faces of beings long gone. He touched one of the walls, and instantly the ship spoke in his mind, and not in words, but memories. He saw a world far beyond Earth, towers of crystal, oceans of light. The beings there looked human but taller, their eyes bright silver. They were scientists, dreamers, explorers. But then came destruction. Fire from the skies, war among the stars. "We were dying," the echo said. "We sent fragments of our essence to safe worlds. To Earth, to you." Ethan's eyes filled with tears. You used me as a vessel. We chose you because your mind was open, because your species is ready." He stumbled back, shaking his head. "Ready? Humanity can't even live in peace with itself. Then you must teach them." The human chase outside, helicopters roared toward the clearing. Bright searchlights cut through the forest. Mara Voss stood in the open door of one chopper, headset pressed to her ear. "We've got a visual. Something massive just came out of the ground." The pilot shouted over the noise. "That's not any aircraft I've ever seen." As they approached, their radios went dead. Every system blinked red. "EMP wave," said a technician. "No," Mara whispered, watching the enormous black shape below. "Something else." She leaned forward, eyes wide. "It's responding to him." The awakening inside. The ship, Ethan reached what looked like a central chamber. A tall pillar of light rose from the floor, filled with swirling blue energy. "Place your hand upon the core," said the echo. "Claim what was once ours." He hesitated. His fingers trembled inches from the light. "If I do this, what happens to me?" "You become whole." He took a deep breath and touched it. The light exploded outward, filling the entire ship. The forest outside lit up like daylight. Every animal fled. The helicopters above lost power and dropped toward the ground, only to be caught mid-fall by invisible force and lowered safely. Mara stared in disbelief as blue light spread from the ship into the earth. The sky, even the clouds. "It's waking up the planet," she whispered. The new power Ethan stood inside the beam, his body surrounded by floating lights. His thoughts raced like lightning. He could see everything. The soldiers outside, the mountains, even the satellites above. He raised his hand and the ship responded like an extension of himself. "You are now connected," said the echo. "You are one with the vessel." Ethan looked down at his glowing skin. His heartbeat synced with the hum of the ship. For the first time, he didn't feel fear. He felt clarity. "I understand now," he whispered. "This isn't a curse. It's a beginning. Then begin, heir of the stars." The earth trembles. The light burst from the ship into the ground, traveling for miles, activating something buried deep beneath the crust. Old ruins, forgotten and hidden for ages, started to glow all around the world, in deserts, oceans, and frozen lands. The energy spread like a living map. In cities, people looked up at the sky as blue lines crossed the clouds like veins of light. Mara, watching from the forest, whispered, "He's connected to all of it." Her radio flickered back to life, voices shouting, confused. "Ma'am, satellites are moving on their own. Every system on Earth is reacting to him." She looked up. "He's not just a man anymore." The last whisper inside the ship, Ethan stood still as the light faded to a soft glow. The power settled inside him, no longer wild, no longer painful. He could hear the world now. Oceans, winds, voices of people miles away. "The awakening is complete," said the echo. "But others have heard. They are coming." Ethan frowned. "Others?" "The watchers from the void. Our old enemies. They know the signal has returned." He looked up through the open roof of the ship at the night sky where stars burned like tiny eyes. "Then I'll be ready," he said quietly. The echo's voice softened. "You are never alone now." The ship hummed in agreement, alive again after a million silent years. And above Earth, in the endless dark, something enormous moved, a shadow between the stars, heading straight for the blue planet below. The forest had fallen silent again. The giant ship stood half buried in mist, glowing faintly like a sleeping mountain made of light. Ethan sat near the open doorway, breathing hard, his hands still faintly blue. He had seen the world change in a single night, the earth splitting, the skies glowing, machines bowing to his presence. Now everything was quiet, too quiet. He looked down at the ground beneath him. The soil was warm. The ship was alive. "You have awakened what was hidden," said the echo softly inside his mind. "Now you must remember who we were." Ethan closed his eyes. "Then show me." The hall of memories. The ship's interior shifted around him. Corridors bent and reformed like living veins of metal, guiding him forward. He followed the faint hum until he reached a massive circular chamber. The walls lit up with golden light. Images floated in the air, a whole world spinning slowly in silence. Ethan stepped closer. A planet appeared before him, covered in silver oceans and tall, shining towers. "This was your home?" he whispered. "Our cradle," replied the echo. "We called it Lyriath." The image zoomed in. He saw cities of glass stretching across continents, creatures of light walking peacefully. Then came the darkness, only a wave of fire consuming everything. Our sun died. Our enemies fed on the same energy that gave us life. We fled across the stars, leaving seeds of memory in other worlds. Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "Seeds, you mean us, humanity." "Yes," said the echo. "You were shaped in our image, but your world grew faster, wilder. The fragments of our essence slept until now." The first echo a figure formed in front of him, tall, slender, wearing silver armor that shimmered like water. Its face was kind, but unreadable. "You are not the first to drink from the source," the being said. Its voice echoed inside the chamber, deep and calm. Ethan blinked. "You can speak?" "I am the first echo," it replied. "The guardian of our memory. My duty is to teach the heir." "I'm not an heir," Ethan said quickly. "I'm just a man who made a stupid choice." The figure tilted its head. "And yet the pool chose you." Ethan's voice shook. "Why me? There must have been others. Stronger, smarter." "Because you still feel hope," the echo said simply. "We lost that long ago." The library of light. The chamber shifted again, revealing rows of crystal pillars filled with flowing light. Inside each pillar floated symbols, images, voices, memories frozen in energy. Ethan reached out to one and felt warmth like touching sunlight. Instantly he saw visions, not with his eyes, but inside his mind. Children laughing beneath twin suns, scientists weaving energy into music, massive ships rising from oceans of glass. It was beautiful and heartbreaking. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "You were so much more than us. And you can be again," whispered the first echo, "if you remember what we forgot." On the fall of Lyriath, the next pillar flickered red. Ethan touched it without thinking, and pain flashed through him. He saw chaos. Stars exploding, ships burning, cities turning to dust, and in the middle of the destruction, dark shapes, tall and winged, their eyes burning white. "The devourers," the echo said with sorrow. "Beings of hunger. They consumed suns and drank the life of worlds. We could not stop them." Ethan backed away. "Are they the ones coming here?" The echo's light dimmed. "Yes. The signal you released woke them too." A cold shiver ran through Ethan. He could see it now, the pattern of light spreading across Earth like a beacon screaming into the stars. The choice of the heir. He turned toward the echo, desperate. "Then help me stop them." "We can guide you, but the strength must come from you," the voice answered. "Our time ended long ago. The power is yours now." Ethan clenched his fists. "You keep saying power. But what is it? What am I?" "You are the bridge, half human, half Lyriathian essence. You are the link between two species." He stared at his glowing hands. The truth hit him like a storm. You want me to unite Earth and the stars? Or watch both burn? The echo said quietly. The world reacting far above, governments around the globe scrambled for control. Satellites failed, and communication lines burned with static. Everywhere the same symbol began to appear, a circle within a spiral, glowing faintly on screens and metal walls. In one control center, a scientist stared at the pattern. It's not a virus, she whispered. It's a message. What does it say? Asked her commander. She swallowed. He is awake. A message from the ancients back in the ship. The chamber darkened. The light gathered into a single point in front of Ethan. A new voice spoke, older, slower, filled with weight. To whoever carries our light, it said, know this, the enemy never dies. They sleep between the stars, feeding on silence. Only the chosen can reignite the barrier. Only the air can rebuild the gate. Ethan stepped forward. What barrier? What gate? The image changed. A massive circular portal, floating above a planet's surface. Lightning rippled through it. The Stargate, the voice said. It protected this world once. Now it lies broken. You must rebuild it, or Earth will share our fate. The heart of the ship Ethan moved deeper into the chamber. In its center lay a circular console, glowing softly. Symbols formed and reformed across its surface. He placed his hand on it. Instantly, energy flooded through him again. Not painful this time, but heavy, ancient, full of meaning. He saw the design of the ship, the hidden parts still buried underground, the vast network stretching beneath the planet. This vessel is not alone, said the echo. There are others, dormant across your world. You must awaken them. Ethan's mind spun. There are more ships? Yes, 7 in total. Each holds a piece of the gate. He whispered to himself. 7 ships, 7 keys. 9, the human heart. He looked up at the glowing walls. You want me to rebuild something that ended before humans even existed? How am I supposed to do that? Not by power alone, said the echo, but by choice. Your species must stand with you, not fear you. Ethan thought of the soldiers who had chased him, the fear in their eyes. They already see me as a weapon. Then show them you are more. The echo stepped closer, its form fading slowly. Hope is not born from strength. It is born from compassion. Remember that, heir. The chamber dimmed. The figure dissolved into light, leaving Ethan alone. The rising dawn, he walked out of the ship and into the cold morning. The first light of dawn touched the mountains. Mist curled around the edges of the glowing hull. Ethan looked at the horizon. The world seemed both new and ancient at once. He whispered, If I'm meant to be this, then I'll finish what you started. Behind him, the ship pulsed once like a heartbeat. A faint beam of light shot upward, vanishing into the clouds. Somewhere far away, other lights began to answer. One in the desert, one under the ocean, one deep in the polar ice. The awakening was spreading. Ethan stared at the sky. He could feel the others coming, forces from beyond the stars moving closer every second. They are near, the echo whispered one last time. The air must prepare. He clenched his fists and whispered to the wind, Then let them come. The ship hummed behind him, and the air shimmered with blue light as the next stage of humanity's destiny began. The night sky over Earth had never looked brighter. Stars shimmered like eyes watching from far away, and among them, a new light appeared. Faint at first, then growing. It wasn't a star. It was moving. The sky burns in. Every city on Earth, people looked up. A single streak of fire crossed the heavens, splitting clouds as it went. Children pointed, thinking it was a comet. News stations cut into broadcasts. Phones buzzed with alerts. But those with the right instruments knew better. It wasn't falling. It was slowing down. In the military command center beneath Washington, alarm screamed. It's not debris, said a technician. It's under control. It's breaking. General Ross frowned. How big? 3 kilometers across, sir, and it's coming to a stop over the North Atlantic. A low silence filled the room. Get me Mara Voss, Ross said. The Watcher, returns Mara Voss, stood on the roof of a black transport helicopter looking toward the horizon. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Ever since the forest incident, her world had become a storm of classified briefings and endless questions. Now the answers were falling from the sky. She lifted her binoculars and froze. The fire in the sky had stopped moving. It just hung there, motionless above the clouds, pulsing with blue light. Her assistant ran up behind her. Ma'am, command says this object is responding to the same frequency as the one from the mountain. Mara's grip tightened. You mean him? Yes, ma'am. Ethan Cole. She took a deep breath. Then he's our only way to understand what's coming. 3. Ethan's vision far away in the quiet forest. Ethan stood on top of the ancient ship. The dawn had broken, but the light in the sky shone brighter than the sun. He didn't need a telescope to see it. He could feel it. The same hum inside his chest now vibrated through the air. They have arrived, whispered the echo. Ethan's throat went dry. Who are they? The guardians of Liriath, the ones who left before the fall. They come to see if the air is worthy. Ethan's voice cracked. Worthy? They're the ones who abandoned you. No, the echo said softly. They obeyed the last command and to survive. Ethan clenched his fists. Then why do I feel their power watching me like a weapon? Because they fear what you might become. The ship above, from orbit, the alien vessel unfolded like a blooming flower. Petals of silver metal spread wide, reflecting sunlight over the Atlantic. It wasn't shaped like any human ship. It was organic, alive, pulsing like a beating heart. Every few seconds, a deep hum rolled across the planet. Not sound, but vibration, felt in bones and oceans alike. Fishermen in Iceland watched their compasses spin. Birds changed direction mid-flight. The tides shifted. Something was rewriting the laws of the world. Humanity responds. Within hours, every major nation went into alert. Jets filled the skies. Missiles were armed. Naval fleets surrounded the glowing craft. Television screens showed nothing else. Fear spread faster than the news itself. In homes and cities, people prayed. Others screamed that it was the end. A single message appeared on thousands of hacked screens worldwide. Glowing blue text on black background. The air has awakened. No one understood it, but Ethan did. The whisper grows louder. He walked inside his ship, the one buried in the forest. The walls glowed brighter than before. The echo's voice filled every corner. They have come to test your claim. Ethan stared at the ceiling. I didn't claim anything. But you carry what they lost. You are the bridge between their perfection and your chaos. He felt anger rising. I'm not your weapon. I'm human. Then show them what humanity is. The walls shimmered. A console rose from the floor, displaying a symbol, the same spiral he had seen in his dreams. Speak, the echo urged. Call to them. Ethan hesitated. And if I do, they will come. The meeting of light. He stepped forward and touched the console. A beam of blue light shot upward from the forest, cutting through the clouds and reaching the alien ship in orbit. For a moment, the world held its breath. The beam split into smaller streams, forming symbols across the sky, like a language written in light. In cities, people pointed upward, thinking it was art or magic. Scientists tried to decode it, but it wasn't for them. It was for the ones above. The voice from the sky, a voice, boomed across the upper atmosphere, deep and layered, like a chorus of thunder. Heir of Liriath, you have awakened the dormant seed. Do you claim the right to lead? Ethan fell to his knees, covering his ears. The sound wasn't just outside, it was inside him. He shouted back, I don't want to lead anyone. Then your world will remain unprotected. Ethan looked up at the sky. Protected from what? The voice answered with a single word that made the echo inside him tremble. The Devourers. The ground shook. Even the clouds rippled. Ethan whispered, "They're coming here, aren't they?" "Yes," said the echo softly. "The signal has reached them." Fear and fire at the same time in the Atlantic, ships and planes began to malfunction. The alien craft emitted waves that scrambled electronics and froze engines. General Ross shouted over static-filled radios, "Fire on that thing now before it moves." Missiles launched, streaks of smoke rising into the sky. Ethan saw it happen through the ship's viewfield. "No, stop." "You don't understand." But he was too late. The missiles reached the alien vessel and vanished. No explosion, no sound, just silence. The ship absorbed the attack like dust swallowed by a hurricane. Then a wave of blue light swept across the ocean, disabling every weapon and engine in seconds. "They do not fight," said the echo. "They observe." Ethan stared in awe. "They stopped the war without a single shot." "This is what peace once looked like," the echo replied. The choice, a smaller craft, broke off from the massive alien ship and began descending toward the forest. Its hull glowed silver, its movement gentle like a falling feather. Ethan stepped back, heart racing. "They're coming here." "You must decide," said the echo. "Hide among your kind, or meet them as what you truly are." Ethan closed his eyes. He thought of humanity, of fear, greed, and wonder, of the children looking up at the sky in awe, of soldiers trembling in the dark. He whispered, "They deserve to know. All of them," the echo hummed softly. "Then step forward, heir of Earth." The alien craft landed silently beside the ancient ship. A door opened and light poured out, pure, white, endless. A tall figure emerged, glowing faintly. Its eyes were like liquid silver. It looked at Ethan and spoke in a calm, beautiful voice. "You are not one of us. Yet you carry our fire." Ethan nodded slowly. "I didn't ask for it, but I'll use it to protect this world." The being's expression softened. "Then perhaps you are worthy after all." The beginning of the end. From above, the larger ship shifted position, its petals closing like armor. The air buzzed with unseen energy. The devourers moved between the stars, the silver being said, "They have felt your awakening. They will arrive soon." Ethan took a deep breath. "Then we stand together, humans and Lyriathians." The being bowed slightly. "You speak like one of us already." Lightning flashed across the horizon. The clouds turned red for an instant, as if the sky itself had flinched. "They are close," whispered the echo. "The first wave is coming." Ethan looked up, eyes glowing bright blue. "I'm not running anymore." The silver being raised its hand, and a beam of light wrapped around them both. Above them, the great ship turned toward the stars, charging its engines, readying for war. And far beyond the edge of the solar system, something vast and hungry opened its eyes. The sky had changed. It no longer looked like night or day. It glowed faintly blue, as if Earth itself was breathing light. High above, the alien fleet hovered in silence. The petals of their ship spread wide, forming a giant ring of light around the planet. Every ocean shimmered, every mountain trembled. And at the center of it all, standing before the ancient ship in the forest, was Ethan. No longer the frightened explorer who had stumbled into a cave. Now he was something more. His eyes glowed brighter than stars. His heartbeat pulsed with the rhythm of the ship beneath him. He was connected to everything, the soil, the sky, even the thoughts of the world. And he could feel it coming. The devourers. Shadows between stars beyond the moon, the void rippled. Darkness moved like liquid swallowing starlight. The first of the devourers appeared. Vast creatures shaped like black storms, with cores that glowed faint red. They weren't ships. They were alive, made of hunger and fire. They drifted forward, silent and endless. Every movement bent space around them. The echo's voice whispered in Ethan's mind, "They destroyed our home. They will not stop now." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then they'll meet something different this time. You are one. They are many. Then I'll make humanity stand as one." The human response around the world, chaos reigned. Cities filled with panic. Governments argued, soldiers prepared. But amid the noise, one message appeared on every screen, broadcast from every satellite, every frequency. A face appeared, Ethan's. He stood against a backdrop of glowing light. His voice was calm but carried through the air like thunder. "People of Earth, don't be afraid. What you see above us is not an invasion. It's a warning. Something far worse is coming. something that doesn't care about nations, power, or war. I'm not your enemy. I'm one of you. But I've seen what's out there, and it's coming for all of us. He paused. His glowing eyes dimmed slightly, showing the man beneath. If we stand divided, we fall. But if we stand together, we become what they fear most in life that refuses to die. Around the world, millions listened in silence. For the first time, humanity looked at the stars, not with curiosity or fear, but with determination. The union of light in the forest clearing. The silver being, the guardian from Lyriath, approached Ethan. You speak like a leader, it said. I speak like a human, Ethan replied. We fight for what we love, the being nodded. Then let us fight with you. Behind it, the alien fleet began to shift. Massive energy fields bloomed across the sky, shimmering shields woven from light. The ancient ship beneath Ethan hummed louder. Its surface opened like a flower, revealing a glowing core, the heart of Lyriath's lost technology. The ship recognizes your command, said the echo. It has chosen you as its pilot. Ethan hesitated. I don't know how to fly something like this. You already are. The ground shook. The ship lifted slowly into the air, its blue light spreading across the forest. Trees bent but did not break. The earth glowed where it passed. As the ship rose, it joined the alien fleet above. One light among many. The edge of space. The Devourers had reached the edge of the solar system. Their red glow stained the blackness. Ethan could feel their thoughts. Empty, cold, endless hunger. They didn't want conquest. They wanted silence. The echo spoke softly. They will not negotiate. They will consume. Ethan stood at the center of his ship's bridge, light swirling around him. Then we give them something they can't consume. What is that? Hope. The battle begins. The alien fleet formed a line between Earth and the Devourers. Light rippled across their hulls, forming vast shields of energy. When the first Devourer struck, the sky itself screamed. The impact tore holes in the clouds, sending shockwaves across the atmosphere. From the ground, people watched streaks of blue and red light collide in the heavens. Mara Voss stood outside the Pentagon looking up. He's really doing it, she whispered. Her assistant beside her murmured. One man against the dark. She smiled faintly. No. One man leading us out of it. In the voice of humanity inside the ship, Ethan linked his mind to every living human. He didn't speak through words. He felt through them. His thoughts spread like fire, connecting minds across oceans. Farmers in fields, doctors in hospitals, soldiers in bunkers. All of them felt the same heartbeat for a moment. His heartbeat? This is our world, he told them silently. Protect it with all you have. Something strange happened. All over Earth, dormant machines, old satellites, power grids, data cores, lit up with the same blue light. The human world was waking, joining him. Energy rose from every continent, feeding the shield above. The aliens turned toward him in awe. They answer your call, said the Guardian. Your people stand with you. Ethan smiled faintly. Then let's end this. The final stand. The Devourers struck again, a wave of dark fire spreading like oil. Ethan raised his hand. The ship's core glowed bright enough to blind the sky. The two forces collided. Darkness against light, hunger against hope. For a long moment, nothing existed but sound and energy. The ocean boiled. The air turned to glass. The stars flickered. Then Ethan spoke one final word. Enough. A blinding wave of blue energy burst from his ship, passing through the Devourers like wind through ash. The dark creatures screamed without sound, twisting, breaking apart, dissolving into starlight. The light spread outward, washing the void clean. When it faded, silence returned. The Devourers were gone. The price of power. The alien fleet dimmed. The great ship in the forest began to fall apart, its energy spent. Ethan collapsed at the center of the bridge. His skin dimmed, his eyes fading to their human color again. You did it, whispered the echo, its voice faint. The barrier is restored. Ethan smiled weakly. I didn't do it alone. No, you never were alone. The ship began to descend, glowing gently like a dying star. It landed softly in the same clearing where it had once slept. As its lights faded, Ethan stepped outside. The air was still, the morning sun rising over the horizon. The dawn after Mara arrived hours later with a team. She found Ethan sitting on a rock watching the sunrise. The ship behind him was quiet now, just metal and shadow. She approached carefully. "You saved us," he smiled faintly. "No, we saved us." She looked up at the sky where the alien fleet still hovered. "What happens now?" Ethan stood, stretching his tired arms. "They'll leave soon. Their work is done. Ours is just beginning." Mara frowned. "What do you mean?" He looked at the horizon. Blue light still flickered faintly where the sun met the earth. "The world has changed. People felt what I felt in connection. Once you feel that, you can't go back to hate or fear." She nodded slowly. "And you? What will you do?" He smiled, eyes soft. "Maybe disappear for a while. Let humanity write its own story again." 10. The new beginning. As the sun rose higher, beams of silver light shone from the alien fleet. Slowly, one by one, the ships began to fade, turning to dust that glittered across the sky. People around the world watched and whispered prayers, unaware that part of that light had already entered the earth itself. The echo's voice returned one last time in Ethan's mind. "You are the bridge, Ethan Cole. Not the end of our kind, the continuation." He closed his eyes, feeling peace for the first time. Then maybe, this really is a beginning. He turned toward the forest, stepping into the shadows. Behind him, the last fragments of light drifted down like snow. The forest glowed faintly for a moment, then fell silent again. Far above, in the emptiness of space, Earth shimmered, wrapped in a thin layer of faint blue light, a living shield. Humanity had survived. But more than that, it had awakened.